it is once again time to do another book haul. I have a nice sized stack of books beside me that I have been itching to haul and add to my collection, so then that way I can get to reading them. I think I always picture reading the books from my hauls right away after I finish filming them, but in reality, some of these I probably won't touch for years. I'm just being honest. But anyway, I do actually have the stack in a particular order this time, so I think I'm going to be starting off with romance, slowly going into dark romances, then I think there is one or two romanticises on here, and then we get into thrillers and horror and all of that good stuff. So I guess I will just start at the top, and the first book in this haul is An Irish Summer by Alexandra Page. This one is supposed to be a romantic comedy about a woman who embarks on a journey through Ireland and ends up finding herself and also love. I do not read enough romantic comedies, and it's a genre that I really, really love. So I am hoping that this one is going to be right up my alley. My partner also has been to Ireland and he really, really loved it. So when I saw this, I kind of thought of him and it made me want to pick it up even more. I can just picture it being kind of fun to read about some of the places in Ireland in this book and then ask him if he's been there and if the descriptions are accurate and that kind of thing. It's going to make the experience a little bit more fun. Then I got a book called The Fate Date by Clover Callahan. This was a book that I picked up in a locally owned bookstore in Ottawa, and the author is from that area, and I love supporting smaller Canadian authors. I think there are so many gems out there that do not get the amount of praise and hype that they deserve, and I'm hoping that this is going to be one of those gems. It's also supposed to be great for fans of The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, which I loved. I loved that entire trilogy. It was so much fun to read. It's kind of like a rom-com spooky witch situation, and this one is sort of in the same vein. It is about a woman who has a witchcraft shop and is also really good at reading tarot cards. And apparently it's book one, so if I really like it, I'll have to look into the other books of the series. Oh, and this is the author's debut novel. Well, that's super fun. Then I got The Odds of You by Kate Dramas. I believe this is another kind of rom-com situation where a woman goes to Scotland, not Ireland this time, to find herself, and she ends up finding love there. If you're sensing a theme, there's definitely a theme here. I am apparently in the mood for escapism romance at the moment and travel romance. Then I got Just Friends by Haley Pham from Book Outlet. I wasn't sure if I was going to pick this one up because it has a lot of mixed reviews, but then I thought, wouldn't I rather just read it myself and decide for myself whether or not it's good? So I was kind of waiting for it to go on Book Outlet because I did not want to pay full price for it just in case I'm not into it, and it finally showed up, so I snatched a copy really quickly. If you don't know, Haley Pham is also a booktuber, but she did other kinds of YouTube before she really got into booktube, and I used to absolutely binge her content. Not so much anymore because I have kind of noticed we do have very different reading tastes, but occasionally I will still watch a few of her videos if she's reading something that really interests me. I am curious to see kind of how she writes her romance. I know for a fact there is not going to be any spice in it because I remember her saying that she doesn't really like romance with spice and she would tend to skip the spice scenes. So that could be refreshing because sometimes the spice is a little bit overdone in romance. Then I had someone give me this copy of Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood because it was one that they couldn't see themselves reading ever again. Hopefully I'm gonna like it a little bit more. The only Ali Hazelwood I've read so far is The Love Hypothesis, so I really need to get on reading some of her other books. I think again this is kind of like a woman in STEM situation. I don't know, maybe I don't want to read the synopsis because I don't really want to know. There's little test tubes on the front, so I'm just going to guess that that is going to be what it's about. Then I finally decided to jump onto the Abby Jimenez bandwagon. I never hear anything but good things about Abby Jimenez, and I didn't really know where to start, but this one just recently came out. It's called The Night We Met, and I ended up getting like a deluxe edition with sprayed edges that have fireworks all over them. I didn't know that this was the edition that I was buying off of Book Outlet, but it's the one I got, and I'm not complaining. Apparently, Abby Jimenez is very good at writing romance that feels realistic and also has cute moments but intense moments, and there's other relationships interwoven throughout the story, not just the romantic relationship, which I always really enjoy. I hate when romances are only really focused on the two romantic interests and nobody else. Like there needs to be some side characters with some personalities sometimes to just kind of break up the tension. She is well known for that, and I'm shocked that I have not hauled or read any of her books until now, so it is time to give her a go. then again, I got something I definitely do not need, but I definitely needed, and that is another edition of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. In all fairness, this one was gifted to me. I did not buy it myself. I definitely would have had I been the one to see it. I will never turn down a gift, or a gift that is a book, or a gift that is a book that is also Pride and Prejudice. I am forever grateful for gifts like this. This one is a 2024 Union Square & Co. edition, and not only is it cloth bound with a beautiful design on it, but it also has very, very beautiful sprayed edges, which I love. I just know one of these days I'm gonna be like, wow, yeah, this is like an edition of Pride and Prejudice that I've never seen before and I love it so much, and then I'm gonna turn around and put it on my shelf and there's gonna be one just like it sitting there. It's gonna happen one of these days, but not today. This is definitely one I don't have. Now we're headed into the dark romance territory. So first we have Branded by Saffron A. Kent. That's a really cool name. Anyway, this one is supposed to be about a woman who becomes pen pals with a man in prison. And if this sounds familiar to you, it's because recently I hauled a book called Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger that was also kind of that premise, and I loved that book. I have never read a dark romance that made me feel the things that that book made me feel. So when I read that that was the synopsis of this book, I decided I was going to give it a go. And I'm really hoping that it's going to be just as good as Pen Pal. And that's some big shoes to fill. So I'm kind of expecting it to not be that good, but maybe going into it with lower expectations will make it seem better than it really is. Well, this is definitely going to be an interesting book because there is a big warning in caps on the back that says, please check the content warnings inside before reading. That's always interesting. Anyway, the synopsis made it sound like Pen Pal, and I really, really, really want another dark romance like Pen Pal. I did acquire some other J.T. Geisinger books recently, one that you will see in this haul, but I'm not sure if they're going to live up to that one. I'm nervous on all fronts, so I thought it would be fun to pick up another one with kind of the same premise, but I'm assuming a very different ending. And if it has the same ending, I'm going to be accusing someone of plagiarism, because the ending of Pen Pal was so freaking unique. I'm going to stop gushing about that book now, but I could honestly go on about it for the entire night. It was that good. Next, I got Harvest Season by Brynne Weaver. I actually pre-ordered this one, and I had it a couple months ago, but I just haven't hauled it yet. This is the deluxe signed edition from Indigo. And first, I just want to say that I love the fact that she matched her signature to the color of the dust jacket. That is amazing. She also used some sort of like sparkly marker or gel pen, which is also really cool. I miss sparkly gel pens. This is the second book in the Seasons of Carnage trilogy. The first book was called Tourist Season, and I did buddy read that with a friend earlier this year, and we are both hoping to buddy read this one together sometime soon. But it is supposed to follow the same main characters from the first book, which I'm really excited about because I feel like the ending of that one was not satisfying. I just have to also quickly show you this. Is that not stunning? Like, how cool is that? Oh, they really outdid themselves with this deluxe edition. It was worth every penny. Brynne Weaver has also recently become one of my favorite romance / dark romance authors, and she's Canadian, so she is now considered an insta buy for me, and I will be trying my best to always pre-order her books because at this point I feel like I'm almost guaranteed to love them. Next, we have that J.T. Geisinger book that I was alluding to earlier, and that is Blackthorn. This one is supposed to be a spicy romantasy. I think it's a romantasy. I think it's a gothic romance. I'm not sure, but when I tell you that J.T. Geisinger writes yearning like no other, I'm not lying. I promise. I swear to you, she is a master at her craft. And once again, they have really outdone themselves with the design of this deluxe edition. Okay, I'm reading here it is considered a gothic romance, which honestly sounds better to me than a romantasy. I don't mind romantasy, but gothic is definitely something I lean more towards and prefer to pick up. So I'm kind of glad that it's a gothic romance and not a romantasy, I think. Next, I got I cannot pronounce this author's name for the life of me. I'm very sorry. But this is a translation of a Russian dystopian classic, and I love dystopian books. And I also don't think I've ever read anything translated from Russian, at least knowingly anyway. I'm always really scared of certain Russian classics because they're really chonky, and then also they just seem really complex, and I feel too stupid sometimes to read some. But this one is not chunky. It's rather small, and also it's supposed to be about a totalitarian society. I think I said that correctly. And it has a foreword by Margaret Atwood, whom I love, and she is one of the queens of dystopian literature. So that helped kind of sell it for me. Next, I got Skull Daddy by Stephanie Ann. This sounds like it could be dark romance, but it is not. It is actually a horror, and it is once again by an author from Ottawa, Ontario, that I bought at one of Ottawa's locally owned bookstores. This is supposed to be about a very creepy Halloween decoration that starts interacting with children somehow, and I think the adults don't see it interact with them, so they don't really know what's going on, but the children start becoming obsessed with something named Skull Daddy, and it's this piece of Halloween decoration that's in their bedroom or something like that. I don't know. I didn't want to read too much of the synopsis and kind of spoil it for myself, but obviously I wanted to know what the heck it was about, because with a title like this, you can't look away. You need to know more. When I first picked it up, I thought it was going to be a really tiny dark romance, but it's not. It's horror. And the fact that it's tiny kind of makes me nervous, because I have never read a tiny horror novel that's not been absolutely disgusting and terrifying. But I'm going to give it a go. Then I got Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I am a huge Gone Girl fan, the book, not the movie, but I've been meaning to read Sharp Objects since I read Gone Girl and absolutely loved it. I just hadn't gotten around to getting it yet. I have a feeling I'm gonna love this one just as much. I also think it's a show or a movie or something. I'm not sure, but if it's anything like Gone Girl, it's gonna be one of the greatest things I've ever read, and it's gonna blow my mind. Then I got Creep and Freak by Jennifer Hillier. Creep is the first novel and Freak is the second one. These are supposed to be kind of like You by Carolyn Kepnes, where the main character is a creepy stalker guy who makes you feel queasy and uncomfortable and is very, very morally gray. And I think the first one, Creep, was actually inspired by the song Creep by Radiohead. And if you don't know that song, you really need to look it up, because it is a banger. But anyway, this book might be from the perspective of the creepy guy's victim, though. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's third person. I don't know. Anyway, they sound very interesting. Apparently Jennifer Hillier also has another one called Butcher, but I'm not sure if it's actually like a sequel or a prequel to these, or if it's just a standalone. So I went with these two for now. And if I like them, I will be looking into Butcher as well. Next, I got Night Shift by Kiara Ladner. I don't think I'm pronouncing that name correctly, so I do apologize. This one was definitely one that caught my eye just by the cover alone, and it sounds super creepy. I do think this one might be considered more literary fiction. However, it's kind of described as being a situation that involves obsession, and I always find that stuff creepy, even if it's not intending to be. That's why I put it with the thrillers. I thought it was kind of fitting in that section. Other than that, I don't know much about it, except for the fact that the main character decides to start working the night shift and her entire life changes, and she starts to become obsessed with a woman she works with, I believe. So it could go either way. It could be super creepy. It could just be a slice of life moment. I'm not sure, but I think that would be the best way to kind of go into this one. Then I finally got my hands on The Reformatory by, again, I'm so sorry, I feel like I'm butchering this, but Tananarive Due. This one is a spooky horror that is supposed to be about, I believe, a 12 or 13-year-old boy who can see ghosts and gets sent to a reformatory school for boys where everything is not exactly as it seems and horrific things start happening. I love a good horror novel with a spooky atmosphere or a haunted building, and once you add ghosts to the mix, I'm absolutely sold. The only thing that makes me nervous is this book is, again, a chunky one. But that being said, I have heard nothing but high praise for this book, so I do have very high expectations going into it. I don't think I've ever read anything negative about it, and I can't wait to get into it. Then I got The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. Here's the thing. I keep doing this to myself and finding myself in these situations, and I swear I don't mean to. I bought this book because I recognize the author's name, and I've been meaning to read some of her books, but this one caught my eye, obviously. It's a very eye-catching cover. And then I found out that it is about cannibalism. I detest cannibalism with a passion. It is one of the things that disgusts me the most. And yet I keep finding myself reading books about it, and this one's no different. I'm definitely still going to read it, and I'm going to be absolutely disgusted and probably want to throw this book out my window. And I know that going into it, but I'm still going to read it. I keep finding myself in these situations, and it is definitely self-inflicted. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that it is about a society where food is starting to run scarce, and in order to have food, they start eating people or something like that. Thinning out the herd, if you will. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I got from the synopsis, and I'm scared. Speaking of scared, next I got Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This is the author of Bird Box. I've never read Bird Box, but I did watch the movie, and I absolutely loved it. Now, this book is also being adapted into a movie. It's called Other Mommy or something like that. It has Jessica Chastain. I think it's coming out later this year or early next year, but I saw the trailer for it, and it looks terrifying. I just know I'm going to be looking over my shoulder reading this book. I've had someone tell me for the past like year and a bit that I need to read this, and I've been putting it off and putting it off because it sounds horrifying, but I need to do it because I have to decide if I want to watch the movie or not. I'm really bad with jump scares though, so even if the book is good, I still might not watch the movie. I don't know. But I want to read this too before that comes out so it doesn't get spoiled. We'll see. Next, I got Diary of a Haunting by M. Verano. This is a book that I had never heard of before, but I randomly saw it in a used bookstore, and it really caught my eye. It looks creepy, and I think it might be YA. It is. And sometimes YA paranormal is the best because it has the spooky, chilling atmosphere, but it doesn't get disgusting. One of my favorite trilogies actually is the Mara Dyer trilogy. It is YA paranormal romance, and hardly anything has ever topped that for paranormal romance for me. This one is supposed to be about a girl who moves into a rustic old farmhouse with her family, and it ends up being kind of creepy and haunted. And that is definitely right up my alley. Then I got How I'll Kill You by Ren Stefano, and this is about identical triplets who murder their boyfriends. I am thinking it's going to be a thriller with like some humor in it. I'm kind of hoping because that sounds like it could be, sounds horrible, but it sounds like it could be funny. Then I got The Caretaker by Marcus Kleiwer. This is the author of We Used to Live Here, a novel that I keep being told that I need to read, and I have previously hauled, but I still have not got to. This is his newest book, and it's one that I'm also hoping to buddy read with a friend. She just recently bought it as well. I think we're both going to go into it not really knowing much. I don't think I know much about it. I just know that this author is very high praised, also Canadian, and is known for very spooky, mind-bending situations. I'm not sure if I want to read this one first or if I want to try to read We Used to Live Here first. I think they're standalones though, so I could go either direction and it wouldn't really matter. But let me know if I am wrong with that, because I think that that's true, but maybe I'm wrong. And now we are at the last book of this haul, and arguably one of the most exciting books. I had never heard of this one until I saw it in the bookstore recently, and it is called The Brides by Charlotte Cross. It just came out recently, and it is about the brides of Dracula before, I think, they marry Dracula, and then one of them who kind of gets away from it. The most exciting thing about this book to me though, which some people might not find exciting, but I thought it was amazing when I opened it up and started like glancing through the pages, is that it is written like Dracula by Bram Stoker. And by that I mean it's written in the forms of journal entries and letters and diary entries, which is so cool. I can't believe that the author did that. I cannot wait to read this. It's described as a feminist gothic horror. Sold. And we can't ignore the cover. Once again, stunning. But that is it. That is my book haul for today. It was quite a few books that, like I said, I'm probably not going to touch for a while. But I do have hopes that some of them will be read in the near future. With that, though, I think I am going to leave this one here. I hope you have a great rest of your week and happy reading.